So I've been gone for more than a month, and I wanted to come back with some sort of bang, but after finding this game at my local retro gaming store, I figured the best way to come back would be with the Crash Boom thing. Okay, I know the SS Crash has sailed, but my whole shtick is DS games, so I was never really in the same boat as everyone else anyways. I didn't even know it existed until I happened upon it in the cheap section of the DS games. I was pretty shocked when I saw the Sierra logo on the case, but it turns out that Sierra has had a hand in Crash and Spyro games since 2001. Learn something new every day, I suppose. Also, now I guess I hate Sierra. Don't know why I didn't think to check during my first Spyro video, but maybe because it was at least trying to be a Spyro game? This is just terrifying. I thought this was just a collection of minigames at first, since there was no indication otherwise. Honestly though, it might have been better as that. The first thing you do when starting up the game is choose your character, which is an interesting design choice as I haven't even figured out what this game is supposed to be. You start with 4 characters, but you can unlock more, presumably through winning games, but nowhere does it tell you how to actually unlock them. At least the manual spoils who you unlock, as now all I want to do is play as fake Crash. For now though, I guess I'll go with Purah? Coco's tiger friend that doesn't wear pants and is just a literal tiger cub? Why is Purah on 2 legs? Why is Purah wearing pants? Who did this to you? Oh, right. There are 3 options to choose from after creating your profile, 2 of which seem like the exact same thing, and then the one we'll be looking at, single player story mode. The Viscount, who is never actually properly introduced, is on the hunt for some sort of crystal that will grant his wish, but knowing he won't be able to track it down all by himself, sends out invites for a competition to our heroes. The winner of the competition wins $10 million and will end up unknowingly helping the Viscount in obtaining this all-powerful crystal. Evil villain sending a seemingly friendly invitation to our heroes to trick them into giving him a crystal? It's Mario Party. This game is a clone of Mario Party DS. It's not even trying to do anything different, even the way the story is being presented is the exact same. The only real difference between Mario Party DS and this game is that Mario Party at least makes sense. I have no idea what's going on here. It tosses you immediately into the game with the only explanation of rules is to collect stuff and to press X if you don't want to use an item. One of the most glaring issues with this game is that you have a timer on the text screen, so if you're having trouble understanding what they're trying to say, you're out of luck because it will proceed without you. This can obviously get very frustrating when you're trying to understand the minigames. And it doesn't even just skip to the next box of text, it skips the whole thing. It also became a giant issue later on when I wanted to check which item did what, and the timer would count down way too quickly and boot me out before I could even figure out what was happening. This was also the case if you wanted to try and create a little panel, which you can apparently send out during play-in minigames, but I never really figured out if I was doing it right. I did find out that panels will block someone's ability to touch in that area, making minigames all the worse. And considering you choose your character on profile creation, this means you can't change your character unless you create a new profile. You start out the game with a certain amount of items that you can use to boost yourself or screw over your opponents. They can range from moving all of the players around on the map to making an opponent move only 1 space on that turn. I could see these items being fairly useful, if not for the fact that the game isn't so much as a race as it is a challenge to collect the most Wumpa fruit. There's a finish line for sure, but whoever reaches it first doesn't matter, because whoever has the most Wumpa fruit, either from the minigames or the fruit panels on the board, becomes the winner, which makes this an incredibly fast and easy game if you know how to play the minigames. Well, it would have been, but the next board changed it up and made it a bit closer to Mario Party in that you have to collect 4 ancient stone tablets to be freed from the board. And boy, do I mean free, because after the 10th turn I felt like I was going to be trapped playing this game forever. You have to land perfectly on the square to get the tablet, but fortunately they weren't cruel enough to make it just a trial and error, as one of the items, the magnifying glass, shows you where all of the key items are. So now it's just a matter of rolling the dice perfectly to just speed up this awful show. Okay, just need a 5. 6, okay, cool. If I roll a 1, I can land on either of these, so maybe if I'm lucky, one of the NPCs will use an item on me to just roll a 1. Oh, okay, they're going to switch up where everyone is on the map. That's fine. A 1? Are you kidding me? Ugh. Okay, fine. Just give me a 4 and I can land on... This was all the more frustrating when Crash would literally teleport to one of the tablets. No idea how, never figured out why. It felt so incredibly cheap and made all of my dice rolls feel pointless, as there was some magical way that only the AI knew about to just teleport to wherever you felt like. Also, if the key item is on an event panel, you have to use the spatula item to flip the panel over to actually get the key item, which also means either landing on item panels and pray that the item you get is a spatula, or waiting for the ability to buy one from the betting page menu in the random times when you're just watching a minigame instead of playing it. This game is either too short with an extremely too easy premise, or way too long with a frustrating mechanic that you have no control over. It's a recipe for disaster, and I hate whoever decided Crash needed his own party game. The points also carry over to the next stage, meaning that if you're like me, you ended up with so many more points than every other NPC that winning didn't even matter. You just have to get to the end to stop others from gaining more points. At the end of the game, I ended up with more points than all of the other players combined. It was so pitiful and also crazy annoying because it took any challenge the game could have had right out of the equation. The only upside to this was that I never had to replay a stage because I failed. I haven't even begun talking about the minigames yet, if you can even call them that. There are 40 minigames in total, or so saith the instruction booklet, but since there are only 3 or 4 assigned to each stage, it feels like a lot less when you're playing the same game over and over again. It also makes them incredibly boring and more of a chore than anything actually fun. The controls also don't help when it comes to minigames, as there are hardly any at all. It's like they finished the game and realized right before release that players needed a way to move, so they dumped some code in real quick without testing it. I don't even know how to explain it, they're just too stiff and hardly register at all. And some of the minigames have automatic controls, like in this minigame where you have to stand under Wumpa Fruit to catch it. If you run into a player, it automatically makes you push them, making it very hard to move around the other players as everyone is literally pushing their way through, whether they want to or not. If you can ignore the controls, the games themselves have very little life in them. They're either way too easy with no challenge at all, or literal random guessing with no skill required. Some of them also last way too long. Why do I need to blow up this balloon 3 times to be the winner? Why does this baseball game need so many turns? Do you know in Mario Party, where you would find yourself cheering for your favorite minigame as the roulette went around, on the edge of your seat, hoping to wreck your friends in your best game? Yeah, these minigames are more like Russian roulette, but with a fully loaded gun. You're never excited, and you're just going to want to die if the bullet doesn't kill you first. There's also a special final minigame which is always up against the main antagonist, the Viscount, and it's always a crapshoot. I didn't win a single one of these, mainly because the AI made it impossible. The first one has you playing a simple game of whack-a-mole, but the NPC AI is so cheap they make their way over to where the Viscount is going to pop up before he does. Add awful controls and a flatten opposing players mechanic, and you turn a classic into a tragedy. The second one is pinball, but with 4 players, which couldn't possibly have been playtested because the ball never even came near me. There was no call ball mechanic or trick to getting it. I just had to wait for the dumb thing to reach me, and it never did. The third one, we have to beat up the Viscount with robots, and this one could have been fun if not for the awful controls and the giant opposing players' robots, whose bodies blocked me from getting close enough to land a hit on the Viscount. The fourth one was a obviously very terribly controlled flying challenge where you had to shoot the Viscount's ship, and I think this is where they stopped caring, because they didn't even get a final Viscount minigame. I don't know if it was because I personally didn't reach the end, or if the developers literally stopped caring to create one final mess, but either way, I am grateful. Out of the 40 great minigames, I think I only ended up getting to see 10 of them at most, and the closest one to fun that I played was this one, and all I did was block pucks from getting into my goal. And then the game made it less fun when I accidentally picked up the power crystal and it gave me giant blockers, taking out any challenge. The story, if you can call it that, also doesn't hold much weight. At one point, Cortex shows up and steals a map to the location of the Wish Crystal, but then never gets mentioned again aside from him appearing in the ending. They also reuse the same 2 pictures like 3 times in one of these cutscenes, and I'm still not sure if it was for a comedic thing or if they were just that lazy. After beating the final stage, the final cutscene plays, and That's it? That was it? My character didn't even get to make the wish. It was Crash. How is that fair? Why couldn't they take an extra day to make endings depending on who you're playing as? What do you get for playing through story mode fully? I wouldn't know without going and creating a new profile because the game never tells you afterwards. There's no fanfare about unlocking extra characters. They're just there. And this is the coolest part of the game. Just playing as other characters like Fake Crash and Tana. That's it. That's the best part of this game. Everything else is a dumpster fire that had no right to exist in any way, shape, or form. No one asked for this. No one wanted this. I don't even care about Crash that much. I'm more of a Spyro girl. But this? I feel insulted, offended, like this game was a personal attack on me and everyone everywhere who likes Crash.